Hi, welcome to the gun room. I've got with me the usual posse. I've got Jay. He's underneath. Hello, Jay. You all right, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, Tom.
And I've got Mitch. How are you, Mitch?
I'm doing all right.
What have you been up to? Anything much, guys?
Just going to the wrong airport in Milan. Nothing much.
That's just one of those everyday things, isn't it? That you do.
Just the usual.
Right, we've got a really busy menu. Loads of stuff on it. Let's start with transfer rumours in 6 words or less. And we've got 2. And the first one is Marcus Rashford to Arsenal. Mitch.
I don't hate it, but wages.
I hate it. What about you, Jay?
Hope it happens.
Oh, you like him?
Mm.
Yeah, I just don't see what all the fuss is about, to be honest.
I think
he's never really caught fire for me.
I just think he's just at the wrong club at the minute. I think he'd fit into the squad perfectly. I think he's talented, no doubt about it, and I think he could do a job for us definitely. But like Mitch said, wages would be crazy.
Solid player, great guy. Can play at a variety of positions. He would provide depth both on the left wing and we were having this big discussion about who can potentially be a backup striker if we don't like re-sign Lacazette or Nketiah. And yeah, maybe Rashford as an option that can both play off the left and play at striker. That would be a potentially interesting move if it came down to it with wages correctly, because he's making a lot more than the players that we're signing currently.
I had 2 words for the Rashford one. It was April Fools, because I just didn't think it had any legs. What about then Rafinha to Arsenal from Leeds?
I like it.
That's better for me. I think that's a stronger one. What about you, Jay?
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah. I'd prefer Rashford just personally, but he's a good player, no doubt. And he could definitely do a job for us. Looks to be sort of coming to the end of his time at Leeds, doesn't it? Like he's sort of outgrowing them. So yeah, he'd be another good one.
We'll touch on it later on, but it's going to be a real dogfight down there. It's getting really interesting at the top of the division and really interesting downstairs as well, isn't it? Sorry, Mitch, off you go.
Really solid player, and like particularly can play off the right, which is we need depth for Bukayo Saka. I think we'll likely sell Pepe in the summer, and we've got to get someone who can play off the right so that Saka's not playing every single match, especially when we're in Europe next season. So yeah, I think he'd be a great signing.
After an eternity, what was it, 9 days? It felt like about 9 months, didn't it? That gap in between. Arsenal were backing action against Watford on that greasy pole to the championship. We'll get to the goals in due course. Jay, what did you make of it?
It was a bit of a crazy sort of chaotic game, which we never really looked totally in control of, did we? It was they looked dangerous. I think more so because defensively we weren't great. We were taking quite a few risks, but our attacking play was just irresistible, wasn't it? It was just like
something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to get onto the goals, but the Ødegaard Saka sort of partnership we've seen it so many times, haven't we? In the last, I would say, well, since the turn of the year, really, they've really started to click, and that partnership's looking so fluid down that side. And our goals were just irresistible. It was so many good things, but also things to improve on. So I think Mikel was right, because he came out and said that he wasn't completely happy, which was good coming from the manager, because there were a few moments where I think we did switch off, and certain players, they obviously they can still improve. So overall, the 3 points is just the main thing. It's where we are, isn't it? Where we are in the season, just getting those 3 points, doesn't matter how. And I mean, I can't wait to get onto the goals, because they were just stunning, weren't they?
There's going to be plenty to talk about, and what a joy to come to a podcast where you've had that sort of feeling, that you're on track, you're getting the goals, because we were wondering a couple of weeks ago where the goals were coming from. Mitch, were you happy with the overall performance?
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun match. Like, if you were a neutral watching that game, you would have had a great time. 4 of the 5 goals were absolutely beautiful. I think it was overall, I think it was a pretty solid performance by Arsenal. Obviously, some moments of struggle. The end was a little bit too close to it for my liking, or at least it looked like it might be. End up looking a little more down to the wire than it probably should have been. I felt like we dominated large portions of the match. Came out a little sleepy with getting scored on in 15 seconds. Luckily, it was offsides. But I mean, that, like Jay said, that right side, Saka and Odegaard are on another level right now. Like I wrote about it this week. Their understanding just seems to be telepathic at this point. These flicks and leaves and just so beautiful to watch, and it's what makes you fall in love with the game. Like if someone starts watching Arsenal right now, this is the kind of team that is going to make you fall in love with Arsenal. To watch players like Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka, to watch these two become great and hopefully continue to make Arsenal great is just beautiful.
It was quite weird you saying about that. The commentator on, I think it was BBC, said that it was reminiscent of the Wenger era, and it was because of the fluency, wasn't it? There was that lightning speed of thought, speed of touch. As you say, beautiful to watch. Not everyone seemed bothered about the result. There was more of a weird sort of vibe about the kit. I mean, I don't really care if they play in flippers as long as they get 3 points. What was all that about? Did anyone get to the bottom of it?
What? Why they changed the shorts?
Yeah,
I think I read yesterday it was a commercial decision by the club. I think they were allowed to change. I think the club released those shorts earlier in the season, only limited edition. No idea why they wanted the change. Maybe they're going to re-release them. I don't know.
I think it looked pretty cool, didn't you?
I liked the look.
Yeah.
I like the whole thing.
I didn't dislike it as much as, like, the reaction's just been crazy, hasn't it? Like some of the, some people go well over the top, but yeah.
Well, I was running around the front room getting excited and looking at match reports and all that sort of thing, and then the next thing, everyone's worried about the kit. I'm like, what? Cedric seems to abandon his post a fair bit. I'm not going to have a massive moan, but Tierney was trying to cover his side, the right side. And last time out, Gabriel came unstuck trying to cover him. Is this evidence for you two guys that we need to upgrade to cover Tomiyasu when he's out?
I think we've covered it at length, haven't we? Really, Cedric, I think, is okay for the odd game here or there, but he was careless in possession, wasn't he? He gave the ball away on a number of occasions. He's not a terrible player, and like I think we can all agree that he can come in and he can do a decent job occasionally, but he's certainly not going to. He's certainly not on the level of Tomiyasu, and we can get away with it against Watford. We've got some real big games coming up, and you live in hope that Arteta has been just holding Tomiyasu back a little bit, and because we're going to need him, because Cedric, for all of his effort, and his deliveries are quite decent technically, you see flashes of, he's not too bad, but then 2 minutes later he's trying to roll. He can't even make a 5-yard pass, a simple 5-yard pass, which at the level we're trying to reach, that's just not enough, is it? So I think we definitely will be looking at an upgrade there, but it's difficult to try and sell that position when you've got somebody as strong as Tomiyasu there now, who's already established himself. So whether we go for somebody a bit younger or just stick with Cedric, you just hope that Tomiyasu doesn't get injured.
Yeah, again. I just mentioned it because he'd had a couple of good games, but when you see little bits where he's abandoned his post, you kind of think, yeah, there is a problem there. He's done well with very limited skills, but I do think we need to upgrade. Gabriel got caught a couple of times, and White got caught for their second goal. How do you feel that the defense held up? It was a bit flippy floppy, wasn't it, Mitch?
Yeah, not the greatest game from Gabriel and Ramsdale. I think they were a little jittery. I think Ben White played a really good match up until that Sissoko goal at the very end. Up until that point, he was a man of the match contender for me. He was really, really good. Gabriel has been a little bit skittish recently. I don't think this is a really huge issue. I think it's just his way of playing is a little bit out there at times. I don't think it's any long-term worries. Obviously, it didn't cost us. We still won the match. And then same with Ramsdale, a little rougher on the edges against Watford. But I don't think it's
Mitch, do you think it's
the
amount of time, the gap in between games that's affecting us? And I'll put that out to Jay as well. Is it those layoffs?
I don't think so. I think rest is important. I think it's not like we're waiting like 2 weeks in between matches. It's like we had a little bit over a week after this last match, and it's going to start coming in a little bit faster as we ramp up towards the end of the season. The Spurs and Chelsea matches still haven't even been scheduled, so the fixtures will be getting closer together. The players have to take advantage of the rest that they're getting, and I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think they're still training. They're still warm. I think it's just some jitters. Still young players, nothing crazy to worry about.
We conceded early doors, Dennis, wasn't it? But it was offside. But it was an indication of the appetite of Watford and that they were going to knock on the door. I think they quite surprised me. We were pretty easy to get behind, weren't we, when they went forward? Jay, how could we have eliminated that? Could we have, because we had Party behind Odegaard, didn't we? Kind of sitting there. Hoping to push forward, so it left that gap of protection because Xhaka was quite high up as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he's Arteta wants him to play a little bit more further forward, doesn't he? And he wants Partey to be that sort of more deep line. Mitch was dead right. There were a few jittery moments and they started well, but I think there were moments as well where it was encouraging that we were trying to pass out from the back, in certain situations where maybe previous Arsenal defences would have just knocked it long or put it out for a throw-in or whatever, just got rid of it. We were passing and we were passing nicely, crisp passing in and around in certain areas, like I said, that you wouldn't normally do that. So that's encouraging because they're confident, even though Watford started well and, they had a couple of sort of their forward players are a bit of a handful, aren't they? They move well and they're quick. Maybe not the best players in the world, but they cause you problems just by sort of high pressing and it was the atmosphere was quite quite good, wasn't it, in the stadium? But I just want to reiterate what Mitch said. Really, it was just a few. We're still working, aren't we? We're still progressing. We're still looking to improve. We're certainly not the finished article. So certain mistakes will happen. I just think Tomiyasu, again, just going back to him, he's such a key member of that defence that once he comes back, hopefully we'll see a lot that more solid back four as that we saw when he was playing well before Christmas. So I'm hoping that he makes a huge difference when he comes back.
Watford's players were quite bulky as well, weren't they? Quite physical as well. So that was another thing to handle. But I think we did quite well with that because normally when teams are quite physical, we kind of drop off a little bit or lose momentum. But we did quite well there. Right, let's get to those goals. Can't wait. Jay, walk us through the Odegaard goal after 5 minutes.
Yeah, so Saka, the ball was out right. Saka was right on the touchline, and he played it inside to Odegaard, who produced. I mean, every time you see it,
it's that, wasn't it? Wow.
I mean, how you don't see that very often. You see back heels all the time, but you don't see back heels where he'd let the ball run across his body, and it was his right foot, wasn't it? And you don't see that very often, and it's hard to describe or use a certain word to describe it because it's almost as if
like a roulette pass.
Other players that happens to other players and they don't mean it, but he was fully aware of what he was doing and he was fully in control. And I mean, how he managed to play the ball perfectly into Bukayo Saka's path. Saka didn't even have to break stride. And I mean, I thought Saka, especially in the first half, was just unreal. His pace, and he's so direct, and his technical ability to just take players on, you know. And anyway, so Saka attacked the box. After this ridiculous back heel, Ødegaard speeds away, follows Saka into the box, and Saka produces a perfect cutback. And I mean, it's not even a shot that Ødegaard does, is it? He just lets the ball hit. You know, he takes control, lets the ball he sort of caresses it into the bottom corner. I mean, I don't know about you, but you knew it was a goal, didn't you? You know, you didn't think for 1 second he was going to miss, and he rolled it in, and that's what Ødegaard is, isn't he? He's the closest thing we've got to prime Mesut. You know, he's like an artist out there, and such a class player, and he's coming into his own now. And that goal, I mean, there's going to be so many more of them, hopefully, fingers crossed, as the season goes on. And lovely. I mean, it was the kind of goal where you're clapping the whole thing, aren't you? Like, oh my God, oh my days. Whoa. And then you're like, oh, that's just amazing, you know? So
I've probably watched that about 25 times. And I'm stilling up, you know, that little back pass, that little sort of clip back. It was absolutely sublime.
Delicious. Like, unbelievable.
And you just wonder, I mean, if that was me and I managed to pull that off, just getting it back to Saka, I'd be happy. But in a split second, he's off.
Like Mitch said, that is football. That's what we all love. And when your team does that, you know, and Thierry Henry used to do that, and Dennett, and that, you know, the comparisons, they're right to compare the team to the Wenger side, but this is a team that's just growing into that. And I mean, you could watch that goal all day. You could watch all three all day, but that goal for me, oh, just lovely. I'll
let you into a secret. I've watched it about 8 times just today. Back again. Right, they equalised from an acrobatic effort from Hernandez after 11 minutes. Kieran Tierney's mate, we'll talk about that in a bit. And then we took the lead back via Saka on the half hour. Mitch, don't leave anything out. Give us the full lowdown. Let us wallow in it like we're in a bath of glory.
I mean, just an absolute great goal. I mean, Saka, Gabriel hits a ball to Saka. It's a little bit short. Saka steps in front of the ball, in front of the man, wins the ball back. Hits Lacazette, who just flicks it off to him, just like he did on Martinelli's goal later. Really nice match from Lacazette. And then Saka just drills it into the net. And all 3 of Arsenal's goals today, against Watford, were just beautiful. Like they're the kind of goals where you just like start giggling. You just like get giddy after watching your team do something that cool. You're like Martinelli's goal against Newcastle is one of those goals that made me like giddy this season. Where I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I just watched that happen. That is so, that's beautiful.
Gives you such a buzz, doesn't it?
Goals are like that, every single one. Like even Watford's equalizer at 1-1 is like, I mean, you can't complain about that. Well done. Like,
you can't do anything about that. You can't do anything
about that.
No.
Fair enough. All right. Well, let's go get another one. Let's go get another 2. And I mean, just some gorgeous goals from Arsenal, and you love watching that. It's great. I'll take any Arsenal goal. It can be as ugly as Smith Rowe's against Man United, or it can be as beautiful as Martinelli's against Newcastle. I will take any Arsenal goal, but a beautiful Arsenal goal just makes you giddy. It's just the best.
The way that Saka, where he took the shot on and just thrashed it. You know, I mean, different types of goals, aren't there? But you know, he proper put his foot through it, and it's like, oh, come on, just beautiful. Yeah.
Jay, I wanted to say it was interesting that you mentioned that Aston had said about Saka looking stronger, because I think this performance really did highlight that.
Yeah.
He looked physically stronger. He was able to brush people off and run past with ease. And did you notice on occasion there were 4 players assigned to him? and he still give them the slip. Was amazing. But I thought I mentioned that because Aston was spot on.
Yeah, we were watching the game again together, and I mean, Saka was loving it, wasn't he? He was just having a great. He's full of confidence, and that finish just shows that he's just so full of confidence because, you know, the way he just took it first time. And like Mitch said, you've got to give Lacazette credit because it was the perfect layoff. Again, Lacazette, Saka didn't have to do anything with the ball, did he? Just apart from just put it in that top corner. Beautiful.
Saka has just been on another level. I think that. I think the Euros miss may have actually just been such a big help for him, which it's crazy for that to be a help for a 20-year-old. There's so easily could have been he misses that, he gets the amount of terrible abuse that he gets, and then he's just not the same player. He's just his confidence shattered, whatever. No, he's just come out with a vengeance and is lighting the league on fire. And come out here with his best season of his career and
absolutely
the top 4.
Absolutely. And you're dead right. And you look at the other 2 players who missed in that shootout, Rashford and Sancho, who are at a different club. They're at the same club and they are the polar opposites of Saka. I know Sancho scored against City, but, you know, the environment that Arteta's created, you know, that the squad being very like-minded, you have to say there's a certain element of that that's helped Saka, right? And that's helped him and that's let him not fall into the same sort of areas that Sancho and Rashford have. And he's just gone on and he's kicked on and I mean, there's not many teams he wouldn't get into now, even City, even, you know, you rival even get, you know, you might even say get into Liverpool because he's just
the second best right winger in the league.
He's absolutely
behind Salah, and he's 20 years old. We need to sign him to an 1,000-year contract right now. Please. We
think in the summer we're going to see that, aren't we? I think in the summer there's going to be an extension, and it's going to.
I absolutely think Arsenal is actively trying to resign to sign him to an extension without a doubt. And as they should. He's phenomenal. Just so good.
It's interesting, Mitch, that you said that about that penalty miss because Wenger came out this week at some point. I don't know what paper it was, but he said he thought it would be the best thing ever happened to him because he would learn from that. He'd take that failure on board and make it into a success eventually. And we're starting to see the fruits of the intensive coaching that Arteta can put into one particular player, but it seems like it's filtering across the entire team. So let's peel off that a minute. We'll talk about that that partnership between Odegaard and Saka as well, because I think that's worth scratching the surface on. Martinelli puts us in the driving seat on 52 minutes with a spectacular goal. Walk us through that, Jay.
So the ball goes out for a throw in and Mikel jogs over, picks the ball up, passes the ball to Bukayo, and they get the they take a quick throw, right? But I know there's been a lot of what would you say? Not criticism, but there's been certain people have come out and said that, you know, Arteta was wrong to pick up the ball and throw. But I mean, come on, nobody made a complaint at the time, did they? Not one person on the, you know, from the Watford box or anybody or Watford bench, nobody complained at the time. So let's just put that to bed straight away. Nothing wrong there. They'd have done the same thing if the ball was next to. I mean,
Roy Hodgson said it was a good move. So.
Right. I mean, Hodgson probably won't be able to move as quick as Mikel did, but yeah. So we took the throw.
He'd still be picking it up now.
We broke down the right hand side. The ball came into the box, and I mean, what a flick from Odegaard! You know, just straight into Lacazette. Lacazette lays it off, and like you said, Tom, what a finish from Martinelli. I mean, Ben Foster's you know, he's certainly not the worst goalkeeper in the league, and on any of those goals, he was nowhere near them, was he? There was just an emphatic finish. And then, you know, Martinelli, he's such an explosive player and he's got that in his locker. And, you know, Mitch mentioned the Newcastle, but he's becoming a lot more rounded now, isn't he? He's not just that sort of super sub or explosive striker. He's a lot more rounded. He's got a finish like that in his locker now and running off to the away support. Brilliant scenes. And again, another goal where We haven't seen that often, have we? And you're like, oh my days, what am I watching here? So yeah, brilliant. You love
Well,
to see
it was kind of like you got a really good goal and you were excited about that, and you're still buzzing about it, you know, raving inside about how good that goal was, and then another good goal, and
Yeah,
you
you
think,
love to
oh,
see
like it's Christmas, it's all come
Mm.
through, and then you get another one, and you're like,
Yeah.
for God's sake, what's going on? But it's interesting that goal against Newcastle, Mitch, Martinelli's got to the stage now where he doesn't do crap goals, does he?
Oh no,
Everyone's a
every
bloody
single
collector's
goal he
item.
scores is beautiful. I love any Martinelli goal because it's always just the greatest thing you've ever seen. His goal against Chelsea a couple of years ago is phenomenal and famous. His one against Newcastle this year was fantastic. His brace against Leeds was so good. He's just a phenomenal player. And once he gains that consistency, it's over. It's over.
Well, he's another one, isn't he? He's got very powerful looking as well. He's obviously been in the gym from when we first got him, and he can brush people off now as well. But as you say, I think he's tentatively trying to find that he comes in off the left, but he's trying to kind of incorporate that Thierry Henry roaming position, isn't he? Because he does drift.
I think his greatest strength coming off the left is in that half space on the left hand side, where he plays kind of an inside forward position. Since our switch to the 4-3-3 and Xhaka playing in a higher role, I think our right side's been so phenomenal. It's made our left side look a little bad. And so like Tierney's not been as good since we've been to switch, and Xhaka has had his moments here or there, and like Martinelli, I think. All three of them are adapting to very different and new roles. Tierney is being forced to be a little more reserved in his positioning, staying back a little more, and Xhaka is being asked to be further forward and have more of an impact on our attacking third. And Martinelli is taking up more space on the wider areas rather than the inside areas where he can get into the box, get in those positions, and score. And I think it's just going to be a little bit of a learning period for all three of those players, or anyone who's playing off the left-hand side right now, because it's just kind of uncharted territory for a lot of them. So it'll be interesting to see how they grow in that. I think we saw a little bit of the growing pains against Watford, and for a couple of them, we've seen them for weeks now since we've made this shift into the new system. But I think the system is going to be really, really good long term. Tierney's going to be fine. He's going to adapt this. He's a good enough defensive left back where he's going to be okay. He still has enough of a play offensively, and it's not as predictable anymore, where it's a little bit more the left winger doesn't really, or the right winger for the other team doesn't really know what Tierney's going to do. Is he going to hang back? Is he going to bomb forward? It makes him a little more unpredictable than kind of the one-trick pony he's been for the last couple of years. Once he gets that role right, he's going to be really good, just as he was in his former role. And then Xhaka is, I think he's limited physically in what he can do technically in the final third. Ultimately, we'll be replacing him. I think in the summer. I think that's pretty obvious to a lot of fans. With someone with a little more technical quality in that role. But I think for what Granit Xhaka possesses, he's done a really good job. And we're way better when Granit Xhaka plays. When Xhaka and Partey are playing together, no matter what role that they're in, we're way better. We're way more secure. We're head and shoulders a better team. This season, we've lost 2 games in which they've played, and it was the Man City game and it was the Everton game. The Everton game was the first game back from Xhaka.
You had to mention that
the injury,
game, didn't you?
Yeah. And then the Man City game was questionable, to say the least. We played a really good game up until a third party got involved with the final outcome. And I don't think there's going to be any issues long term with those three on the left hand side. Martinelli, once he starts getting more comfortable on the out wide and just finding those pockets inside, like he did on the goal, he came kind of almost across to the right. So once he gets a little bit more skill in finding those pockets to pop up in and find those goals, he's going to go to another level.
I'll tell you what I did enjoy is that kind of Martinelli replacing Aubameyang on that side has really kind of added something different, because I felt for a long time, and I said to you, didn't I, Jay, that Aubameyang, and I'm going to get slated for this, but Aubameyang had become a bit of a one-trick pony, kind of hanging out really wide and then doing that diagonal cutting. Martinelli, you just don't know what he's going to get up to. And that gives us something fresh to look forward to, doesn't it, as a threat?
Yeah, it definitely does. I think part of the, I just wanted to add to what Mitch said on that left-hand side. You know, Tierney may be not, he's not putting in those eye-catching performances, but I think part of the reason why Martinelli's shining so much is because he has that confidence that he's got a solid left back behind him. You know, I think he knows that he can take these risks and he can drift into those positions and he can get ahead of Lacazette and find those gaps because he knows that he's got a really, really superb left-sided defender. You know, I mean, I'm still a huge fan of his. He might not be bombing up and down that wing, getting to the byline and crossing it back or attacking as much as he was, but maybe that's not so much of a bad thing when you've got Martinelli, who without a doubt is taken massive strides forward this season. And I think it's more to do with, you know, a slightly more rigid approach from Tierney is mainly due to Cedric on the other side, you know, rather than any other real issue for me. But yeah, I mean, he's another player. And all of the attackers at the moment, they're full of confidence, aren't they? And it's lovely to see. Love it.
It was a nervy ending, wasn't it, with Sissoko getting that goal? It was a bit of a scrappy goal, and that really put us on the back foot for a little period of time. But we saw the game out. Let's talk more about the Odegaard-Saka partnership. I mean, is this one of those things that is a happy accident? You know, it just comes through working together in training, or it's something that you think that Mikel Arteta has kind of focused on and thought, hey, this is the key. This is the one that unlocks the door. What did you call it, Mitch? What was it? Something about a straw.
The straw that stirs the drink, Martin Odegaard.
I love that.
I have to imagine that Arteta has identified this, and it has to have played a strong role into this new role of Odegaard playing the right 8 instead of as that drifting 10. He often drifted right as it was. Like before we switched to a 4-3-3, when we were in that 4-2-3-1 that we've played since Smith Rowe's introduction last Christmas, Odegaard, when he would play the 10, would often drift into that right half space anyway. And the left winger would often drift in that left half space and Tierney up left wide. So we'd have the same attacking structure of the like 2-3-5 or the 3-2-5 or however you want to put it. And now it's just kind of a change in role, especially with that left side. And I have to imagine that that was identified, that like Odegaard and Saka, like they've got this kind of connection, whether it was in training or whatever, or Arteta identified him as this is going to be his role. He's going to be really good at this. And Saka already was locking down the right wing, and they've just formed this connection. Whatever it is, it's working, and it's working really well. And if we could get something similar on the left-hand side, whether that with a new person to come in at that left 8 position, or I've even heard it talked about. We've seen a couple times of Odegaard and Smith Rowe playing as pairs of 8s before. I think it's an interesting idea that hasn't really worked that nicely when we've seen it, just because of the lack of defensive responsibility that's been taken out of it. I don't think Partey has necessarily been. I think he's been a really solid 6, but I think he's better with the help that Xhaka provides by kind of being that more balanced midfielder. I don't think he's at the level like Fabinho or Rodri are, where they can totally afford to have 2 very attacking 8s. Like Man City's setup is Rodri as that 6 in the base of defense, and then Bernardo and KDB as those 2 8s. And then you have these 5 City attackers coming for you, coming at you of Mahrez, Bernardo, Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, and Jack Grealish. And if you're Manchester United, how are you going to deal with that? Like you can't, and it's just as scary if you look at it of an idealized Arsenal team of of Saka, Odegaard, whoever we bring in at striker, Smith Rowe, and Martinelli as an attacking five coming at you, there's so much that you can do with that. I'm salivating thinking about that. If Party is able to take that step as a six that can hold back with those five going forward, or if we were to sign a six in the summer, I have no idea what the long-term plan is there, but whatever we decide to do with that left A position, if we could replicate what Saka and Odegaard have on the right side, because again, they seem telepathic at this point. Just this technical quality is just gorgeous between the two. If we could have any sense of replication on the left-hand side, we would be absolutely cooking with gas.
I think that's the thing, isn't it, Jay, that we don't want to become too dependent on those two players to create all the chances for us. There is that gap. Arsenal have had these partnerships form in the past, haven't they? Bergkamp and Henry, people like that. You can include Perez in that. Anyone with plus Bergkamp, couldn't you? And it's going to be interesting to see these two. How good could these two be, Jay?
Well, the sky's the limit, isn't it? You know, you like to think that Odegaard was brought in.
So exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, Odegaard was brought in by Arteta with this in mind, to be able to strike up these partnerships. You know, Odegaard's he's an intelligent player, isn't he? He's going to be the captain most probably, and he probably should be, because he's such the influence that he has on the team is so huge now. It's probably the question that you asked Mitch. It's probably a combination of both. It worked well in training, and then Arteta he also had part of the master plan or the process or whatever you want to call it. It was, he was brought in for that. So I mean, Odegaard, he's played for a number of different clubs, hasn't he? Well, whilst at Real Madrid, hasn't really settled, couldn't really break into the Real Madrid team. We got him for an absolute snip. And he looks happy. And as long as we can match a player of his abilities, sort of aspirations, going forward, same with Saka, but I think it's a little bit different with Saka because he's an Arsenal boy, isn't he? It's going to take it's going to take a massive breakdown, catastrophic breakdown for him to leave. I don't think we're going to pay him well. He's already being paid well, but he's going to get a really, really big contract, hopefully in the summer. It's going to take a massive, massive breakdown somewhere for him to leave. Whereas, Odegaard, I think as long as he's happy and the club are moving forward, I think he's the type of player that you build around. Imagine what it's going to be like when we have that striker who's a little bit more mobile, who's running off the back, the two central defenders, finding the spaces. Because Lacazette's, he's great, bless him, and his assists are going through the roof at the minute. But he still doesn't carry much of a goal threat, does he? And if we've got that extra, if we've got like an equivalent of Saka, but in a centre forward position, I think we're going to see, he's going to go up another few levels, Odegaard. I'm going to see a few different sort of parts of his game. So, I mean, he's scoring as well, isn't he, Odegaard? He's getting on the score sheet now. And last season and parts of this season, we just weren't scoring goals at all, let alone really from midfield. So, they can be club legends, and they're in the right place, aren't they? This team's moving forward. It's progressing. You look at Man United. They're just going backwards and they're stagnating, aren't they? And this team, you can tell, is growing and in confidence and stature, and it's exciting.
The thing with Saka,
for both of them.
Sorry, Mitch. The thing with Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe, the young academy players, is they've been there for such a long time already, and they've got that emotional connection. Odegaard just needed to be appreciated and loved, and I think he'll find he's got that, hasn't he?
Yeah, and trusted. And Mikel, I think Mikel's come out and said, hasn't he, that Odegaard is the perfect footballer, and he's the he doesn't come across as being selfish at all, does he? He doesn't come across like he's got an ego or he's very team orientated. He quickly bought into the Arteta's high press, and off the ball he's very, very energetic, and he's a delight. And I tell you, he was good last season. We saw flashes, didn't we? But this season he has gone on to another level, and it's good that not many people are talking about him. It's good that not many people are talking about Arsenal. The media are just leaving us alone, and it's good because if Ødegaard and the club can stay under the radar and just keep ticking off getting these wins, and that's the best thing for this young side.
Come on, Mitch, get your feet wet. What these two must excite the hell out of you. Let's have a bit from you. Let's just crank it up like Lacazette does.
I mean, Saka is just on another level, potentially world-class player in the making. And same with Martin Ødegaard. I mean, he was touted as that when he was 16 and signed for Real Madrid. And the fact that we might be reaping the benefits of that is just beyond exciting. He's been one of the most talked about young players in the world for how long now? Like for 8 years, since he was like scoring bangers in Norway when he was 15. And so it's really, really cool. I've been like giddy about Martin Ødegaard as an Arsenal player since like last January when we were potentially going to sign him on loan. Like, shit, Martin Ødegaard, really? Like, that's amazing. And then we got him in the summer. I was excited, and now he's hitting heights that this season that I didn't think he was going to hit. And we totally can see that he could very much hit what was touted for him when he was 15 years old, and was signed by the biggest club in the world. And the fact that we get to be the team to reap that benefit is phenomenal. As soon as we're starting to see some goals from him, but he's still got like that little bit of phobia of shooting. There was a play late in the match where he had a shot and he laid it out to Lacazette and it didn't come to anything. He takes a shot there, he gets another goal. And like the part of the things that made him exciting and special when he was 15 in Norway was he was hitting shots from outside the 18 and hitting these top ends, and like, oh my God, this kid's gonna be the greatest. And now he's not doing those things that are exciting, and he's still becoming a world beater is just phenomenal. If he could get some of those qualities back. Now I criticize Thomas Partey often for shooting outside the 18. So I don't really want Ødegaard to just make a habit of doing that like Thomas does, because it's not my favorite thing that happens during Arsenal games. I am tired of Thomas Partey taking shots. But Martin Ødegaard and Bukayo Saka are beyond special, and I'm so excited to watch them keep going. They are phenomenal, and I anticipate that to continue.
I had an interesting conversation with a guy called Nigel in South Africa, because I was going on about Ødegaard as I usually do. Why stop? And he said he didn't see it. And all of a sudden, over the last couple of games, he started to see it. And he was like, oh my God, why couldn't I see it? And it is one of those, you have to pay attention to it. And I said to him about that old trick of just rerunning the game, but just watching one player. And Ødegaard, I did that ages ago.
I think you can apply that to last season as well. I think if you went back and watched those games without the, we watch matches now, and there's a general feeling about the team, right? So you have your own view of the team, and then you have the general sort of social media view of the team and the manager. And for large periods of last season, after Ødegaard signed, there were highs, there were lows, but you're a bit clouded, right, on how you view team, how you view players. And I think if you went back and watched a lot of the performances of the team that included Ødegaard last season, I think you would see that quality still. I think it's just more back then, you think of, performances that spring to mind.
The 4-4 versus West Ham was I knew for Ødegaard.
Or when he came on, when we played Crystal Palace, and he came on and he supplied the cross for Martinelli at the back post, and we ended up nicking a winner at the end. But there were also performances like, going out of the Europa League, and there were other performances that the team didn't play particularly well. And I think that clouded a lot of people's views on Ødegaard. And I think if you went back and watched it now, I think you'd see anybody that knew anything about football knew we were getting an unbelievable player for very little money, because if he, imagine if he stays at the club for, hopefully, fingers crossed, he's at the club for another 5-6 more so years, and for 30 million, it's nothing, is it? Absolutely nothing.
The thing with both him and Saka is that they're both players that are really, really good behind the scenes. Like, if you just look at a stat sheet, sometimes you're like, okay, I don't know if Saka and Ødegaard played that well, because I think we're starting to see it pick up a little bit more this season, but they're not huge goals and assist players. It's just the pure impact that they're able to have on a game without having that final second or final ball. And now that we're getting those, it's even more people are waking up and more people are seeing the greatness of these two. Like, Arsenal fans have known for a long time how good Bukayo Saka is. We've known how good he was since he was playing as a left wing back, and now he's quickly becoming one of the best right wings in the league. And then Martin Ødegaard is just a beyond special player of just how he dictates the flow of the game. Even if he doesn't get an assist, even if he doesn't get a goal, he flicks it across to Lacazette, who lays it off for Martinelli to score. It's just the impact he has over the game without it showing up on a stat sheet. And I'm someone who loves statistics. I love expected goals. I think it's a really valuable tool. But there's some players that just are above it, that are able to have so much impact without showing up there.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to identify that the way that Arsenal has been tremendous.
I'll tell you something before we pick our man of the match. What he also reminds me of as well is Liam Brady. It won't mean much to either of you, I don't suppose, but Liam Brady in his heyday, he was busy in every department. It seemed to be everything went through him. He was everywhere the ball was, and that was a very Brady thing to do. And Ødegaard's got that thing. I noticed so much of the work. He was back defending. He went forward. He was in midfield again. Then he was up in the attack, trying to help out there. And that work rate is phenomenal. You get all that as well. You get the class, the skill, all that vision, and then you got that work rate. Let's do the circle. Jay, who was your man of the match?
First off, Saka was immense, but I think overall, I thought Ødegaard was just too good. The influence that he had on the entire game, he was just involved in everything, wasn't he? Everything good he was involved in. So yeah, I'd go with Ødegaard.
Mitch?
I've said this before. It's always a great game when it's hard to choose who the man of the match is. There's a lot of really, really good calls. Even like Ben White before the goal, I think, was a solid guess. But anytime you score 3 goals in the game, and center back is never going to get man of the match unless he scores all 3 of those. And Lacazette was fantastic with his 2 assists. But it's got to be one of the other of Saka and Ødegaard. They were just on another level. I go either way at any moment, but it's got to be Martin Ødegaard for me. Like, just like Jay said, just dictated the whole game. It was him, just everything. Phenomenal performance.
I think Sky picked out Saka as their man of the match, but I'd go Ødegaard as well, just because without him, you don't get that beginning and end product. It was sensational. Let's do some stats on Bukayo Saka. 67 touches, 4 in the opposition box, 36 out of 43 passes completed, 2 chances created, 5th Premier League assist this season, 1 shot, involved in 9 goals in the last 10 Premier League appearances. It's bewildering, isn't it? Then you've got Martin Ødegaard, 91% pass accuracy, 38 touches, 31 passes in the final third. That was the most achieved in that game. 9 ball recoveries, 5 duels won, 4 chances created. That was the most. 4 tackles. That was the most. 2 touches in the opposition box, 1 shot, 1 goal. And this is, before anyone has a go at me about the Liam Brady comparison, we're not there yet. I do understand that, but what I'm saying is his work ethic. And
I mean, how rounded the stats that you just gave on Odegaard? How rounded is that? You know, that shows that he's doing a bit of everything, isn't it? And that's what you want. That's what you want from a captain, right? So yeah, superb.
Guys, got a couple of emails to whiz through. Well, 3 in fact. Sarah asks a relatively simple question: who would you pick, Ozil or Cazorla? Jay.
Oh, I love Santi. He was just something else, and he played with a smile on his face. And he was, Mesut was great. Mesut really was, and he had a sort of a 12-month period where he was really, really good. But Santi was just, oh God, you'd take him, wouldn't you? He's just what a great character, could do unbelievable things with football. Yeah, for me, I'd go with Santi.
He had such a good engine as well, didn't he? Mitch.
I mean, if I'm choosing one of them to be put into this Arsenal team, I'm choosing Santi Cazorla. Mesut Ozil is one of the best creative players in the last decade. Fantastic player. But there's a reason that Mesut Ozil didn't work in this in Mikel Arteta's setup, and it's because he's kind of a one-facing player. He didn't have a huge defensive work rate. Santi Cazorla worked really, really nice in that 8 role under Wenger. And if we had a prime Santi Cazorla in that left 8, we'd be good. We'd be very, very good.
Yeah, we had an emotional attachment to Santi as well. That was the difference between those two players. 2 really, really exceptional players, but with Santi, you had an emotional connection, and we still haven't got over it because we never said goodbye to him properly. Right, the second one is from Robo Bob, the Gooner. He says, I bet all the Arteta haters are gutted that Arsenal are starting to turn a corner. I don't care about the top 4 at the moment for the Champions League. I just want to see us playing well. That's a fair comment, isn't it? We'll have it if it's there, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, like the biggest thing with the process is we want to make an improvement. We've done that. We want to keep playing well. We want to keep going. Keep playing like this. We're going to make top 4. If we miss out on it, I think at this stage of the season, we've kind of built up enough of an expectation where it's going to be disappointing if we don't get it. But like beginning of the season, where we're like, okay, we finish like 5th. That's a successful season based on where we think we're at and where we think the other teams around us are at. Like we're already on pace to get above 70 points. If we do that, I think that's pretty successful. That's again, I think that us continuing to play well and top 4 kind of go hand in hand. And then, yeah, it's nice to win games and for dumb people to shut up. It's super fun. Because those people aren't Arsenal fans. If you're actively rooting against your team so that your agenda can be correct, if you just have this hatred of Mikel Arteta, you just want him to fail so bad that you're rooting against your own team, there is something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. I think
everybody needs to. It's important that everybody remembers their expectations at the start of the season. You know, because where we are now, we're in a great position, but ultimately we've had no European football this season. So any form of European football would be seen as a certain amount of improvement. So I think it's just important everybody remembers or tries to think back to their pre-season expectations.
Yeah, exactly. Not getting top 4 is not a failure. It's a disappointment, but it would not be a failure.
No, not at all.
No, we actually said, Jay, didn't we? We would sort of settle for 5th after the horrible start we had, all the disruptions and everything.
And there is that prior to the start.
And there is. I mean, if you can't see that there has been improvement, and quite a lot of it in this,
you're not watching.
You just honestly, I don't know what you're watching, because it's not what we all see, is it? You know?
Yeah, you lot out there. Hey, polish your eyeballs. Right, the last of the emails. John V asks a very interesting question. He asks, are you still a real Arsenal fan if you don't go regularly to the games? I've encountered a degree of criticism because I tend to watch the majority of the games now on TV, but I'm still a devoted Arsenal fan. Come on, you either go, there are set circumstances where you can't afford to go, or you've got issues going. I mean, mine at the moment is obviously family commitment. So I'm not going to be trotting up to Arsenal every 5 minutes, but there are people that simply can't afford it, isn't there? You're still an Arsenal supporter?
Of course you are.
Financial, like family. I mean, the biggest thing for me is geographical commitments prevent me from going to a lot of Arsenal games. And I think that I speak for a lot of Arsenal fans when I say that. Arsenal's a global club. That I have interacted with so many different people from so many different places, from India, from the US, from England, from everywhere. Arsenal is one of the biggest brands in football. And if you're calling someone who doesn't go to games regularly, that would just say that Arsenal has like 60,000 fans. Like that's really dumb to not include so many people who are probably more devoted than some of the people that go to the games. I went to the Brentford match and I talked to a dude who I don't know what team he was watching the whole year based on some of the stuff he was saying. Just because you go to matches doesn't mean you're better than people that don't. Just because you're willing to spend the money to go to matches. Some people prefer to watch games on TV. Some people prefer to watch it in the stadium. There's so many different factors and preferences of why people go or don't go to matches, and it's ridiculous to have this gatekeeper mentality around people that can't go to matches, whether they can't afford to or physically can't.
Yeah, it happened some years ago. I mean, many years ago, there was a kind of a bit of a snobbery about the armchair fan and the actual paying fan. Hopefully that's not coming back. I don't think it is. I think, if you're Arsenal, you're Arsenal. What do you think, Jay?
It's a load of rubbish. It's the club's for everybody. It's a global brand now, isn't it? Arsenal. They're followed all over the world. If you're lucky enough to go to a game, it's amazing. But your view or your opinion is just as valid as anybody else who goes to the game. Or doesn't go to the game or whatever. This is, we all ultimately want the team to do well. I've been lucky enough to go to quite a few games down the years. I'd love to have gone to many more, but circumstances meant that wasn't possible. So it's a non-argument for me. I mean, I think it's a bit. You do see it. You do see this on social media. You do see certain arguments spring up or views spring up from time to time, but I haven't really seen it too much recently. And I think it goes hand in hand with how well the team are doing, because when the team weren't doing very well, the criticism, or a large criticism, was aimed at the atmosphere inside the ground and inside the Emirates, and there'll be a lot of supporters who maybe don't support the club and have got tickets through a friend or whatever, and it contributed to the atmosphere being not so good. But Mitch, you've been this season, I've been this season on a number of occasions, and the atmosphere has been really good. And I've been lucky enough to go away to a few grounds, and it's been really good and it's been positive. And I think that this argument it was a lot more sort of prevalent in a few years back, but because the team's doing better, the overall sort of view is a lot more positive about the team and the fan base these days. So yeah, I know I've sort of gone off point a bit there, but I think
we like it.
I just think it's the club's for everybody. It's not, and that's not just if you go to the games. That's whatever your background is, disability or whatever. This isn't something, for how long now has the fan base been fighting amongst each other and just been disagreeing on whatever, and not liking AFTV or not liking Wenger or not liking whatever.
We're in another thing to divide us.
You don't need that, and I mean, this is about as positive as I can remember for a long time. Where we are, even after winning FA Cups under Wenger, you've got to go back quite a way before that. For me, anyway, to the feelings that I have watching the team, and I'll admit it, and it's been recorded on this podcast, that I have doubted Arteta, and I have questioned at times of his, in times of his reign as manager, I have doubted him, but he's proven me wrong. And then that's what you want. We wanted to be proved wrong. And everybody, the whole fan base, wants the team to do well. And this is as positive as I can remember. And we just all need to keep it that way and not be divided and about such crap like this. I
think the message, John, is just keep supporting them and just don't
100%.
listen.
100%.
Don't listen. Got a couple of quick ones for you before we go. Sports Bible have pointed out that Harry Kane is now level with Arsenal legend Thierry Henry on 175. I think he's actually got 176, isn't he? Victoria, who's an absolute gooner. We love Victoria, because she said anyone who says they would take Harry Kane over a prime Thierry Henry shouldn't be allowed to watch football. I mean, stats and goals are one thing, aren't they? But you cannot compare Harry Kane to a prime Thierry Henry. It's not possible, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, I think Thierry did it in 12 games less, but also Thierry won trophies. Kane's won nothing. And I know everybody said this has been all over social media, hasn't it? Kane's a good striker. Nobody's debating that. He's one of the best in the league at the moment. But until he wins something, or he leaves Spurs and wins something, he's always going to have this, isn't he? He's always going to have it hanging over his shoulder, So, no comparison. Thierry's just different level, different world to Harry Kane, different galaxy.
Yeah, I don't think the goals or the trophies should even matter, because it's about a style of play. It's about a quality. It's about a class. And Harry Kane can't get up to that level. Great at what he does, not knocking that. And the goals speak for themselves. But you cannot recreate. I mean, he is going to be one of those players that you're waiting for the next version to come along. And even when it does come along, it's not going to be as good as Thierry Henry was. Mitch?
I mean, they're the two best strikers in Premier League history. I hate Harry Kane. I hate Tottenham.
What about?
I have to give Harry Kane
disagree with
his
that
respect of being phenomenal. He's a great player, a fantastic player. I don't know if he's at Henry's level, but he's a fantastic player, one of the greatest strikers in Premier League history. I'm kind of starting to feel bad for him. I hope he leaves Tottenham so that maybe he could win something, because I definitely don't want him winning anything with Tottenham. But I feel bad for him at this point. I respect riding with your team, but if you don't win anything with it, that's just a wasted prime and a wasted career. It's a bummer for him that he was this good for this long and never won anything. It kind of puts a little bit of a mark, at least on his career so far. Obviously, this could change at some point, but I mean, two fantastic strikers. Congratulations to Harry Kane for doing that. But I don't think it's worth putting too much. It's two different Premier League eras, two very different profiles of strikers in two very different teams. So,
Jay, you disagreed. Who would you have put up there in the best?
Above Harry Kane, I can name so Jamie Vardy, Luis Suarez, Sergio Aguero, Alan Shearer, who's Didier Drogba, Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen.
Oh, bloody hell.
Ian Wright, bloody hell, Dennis Bergkamp.
Yeah,
Kane's good. Look, don't get me wrong. Kane is a good goal scorer, but I don't think it's a little asterisk that you put next to his name if he doesn't win a trophy. I think it's a huge one. I think he's at the elite level. Those goals have got to mean something. He's got to get. He has to be the reason, like Henry was for so many years. The difference and getting over the line, getting to cup finals, winning trophies. And for me, until he does that, his career will have a massive asterisk next to it. He's a great goal scorer. I'm not debating that. But he's been at Spurs a long time now, and he's played in a lot of different sort of iterations of the team. He's played for different managers. Everything still remained the same. His goals haven't got them over the line. And I mean, I could go on with strikers that I consider to have had a better career than him. So yeah, I hope he does stay at Spurs, and I hope they don't win anything for years, never. So,
guys, before we go, let's have a look at the top and the bottom. Let's look at the bottom first. Who do you think will be joining? I think it's a done deal here. I can't see Norwich doing anything apart from dropping. Watford are fairly close. Burnley are struggling at the minute. Who's going to take that last place, the 18th place, and face the drop out of Burnley, Everton, Leeds, and Brentford?
My guess a couple weeks ago was Leeds. I think still have to see. They lost their first match with Jesse Marsch taking over, but like they looked really good. Like they shouldn't have lost that. Like they way outplayed Leicester, and Leicester got the goal, and that's how it happens sometimes. So I think Leeds is still to be seen. I would have said confidently that Everton are going to be fine. After last night, I'm not confident Everton are going to be fine. I think they're my pick for the third spot right now, because Sean Dyche has devil magic on his side. Like they're not getting relegated. Burnley's not getting relegated. Like Sean Dyche made a deal with the devil. Burnley will never get relegated. I think it'll be Everton right now.
Yeah, me too. Jay?
Yeah, I'm just looking now. I mean, Brentford have played quite a few games more than the rest.
I will fight for Brentford. They will be okay.
Yeah, they're 6 points. They're 6 points ahead of Burnley, so that's a lot, isn't it? I suppose they've got to make up. They are. Everton and Brentford are really struggling. I think Leeds will be all right, like you said. I think they'll be okay. I think Everton are just. I mean, they are struggling, aren't they? They really are. They're so poor. Who's it going to be? I'm with you, Mitch. I don't think Burnley will. Everton just look really, really bad. I mean, where's their turnaround going to come from? You know, like where's the quality? I think it's yeah. I think it's Everton do have the quality. I don't know. I'm going to go Brentford. I just think I've thought it for a little while. They've been struggling. Maybe Brentford. I don't know. It's tough because they're all crap, aren't they? They're all really bad.
Right, at the top, we're going to disagree. We're going to have a bit of a tiff. But at the top, for fourth place, Arsenal, Manchester United, West Ham. Can you see Tottenham and Wolves making an impact in that?
Yeah, I think it's going to be between us, Tottenham, and United. I think that's what's going to come down to, those three. That's kind of what it's been the whole season. Like Wolves have made a little bit of a push. West Ham has been hanging up there all season. I think it's always been down to these three. At the beginning of the season, I was very confident that it was going to be like a very set top four. It was going to be Chelsea, Liverpool, City, and United. The strengths of their rosters alone were good enough to propel all of those teams to be basically locked in for a top four and potentially a title fight. United's really dropped off from what they were, from what I expected them to be. And it's opened an opportunity. We have that opportunity. We're playing well. If we continue to play well, we win our cup finals that we have from here to the end of the season. I think that spot's ours. But like we were saying earlier, I don't think it's guaranteed. There's some people that are acting like it's guaranteed. I think it's very fun. You get wrapped up in wins just like you wrapped up in losses. you're like, oh, we played great. We're going to get top 4. We got this. Getting a little cocky, you know? And I totally think we can. Totally think we can. Spurs are still a very good team. They still have Antonio Conte. They still have Heung-min Son. They still have Harry Kane. They still have some very talented players. Man United, still Man United. They still have a lot of individual brilliance that can make things happen. They got thrashed by Man City, but they still got a solid roster. That strength of roster that they had projected going into the season hasn't really gone away. They still have a lot of talent, and if they start figuring out, Rangnick has improved them. It just we'll have to see to the degree of how much Rangnick has improved them, and I don't know if he has exponentially done it the way Conte has at Spurs. They've got to gain a lot more consistency, though. We are the best team right now of those 3. We just need to be for the rest of the season.
Jay, who's in it with us for that 4th slot?
Yeah, Mitch, I think Wolves they've dropped off a bit, and they've slipped up, and I think they've probably fell a little bit too far back now. West Ham have got Europe to deal with. They've got the Europa League, and so have Man United. They've got the Champions League. I think if we stay injury free, which is the key to it, really, because we haven't got the biggest of squads, have we? If we manage to avoid injuries and maybe get Smith Rowe back and Tomiyasu back, we're in the best position. We're in a great position. But there's so many more games still to be played, and we all play against each other. Spurs are still there. That was a good win for them against Everton, wasn't it? You have to say that at the minute we're the favourites, but United have got a deep squad and they've got good players still, so they're still super dangerous. And the games are going to come thick and fast, aren't they? From sort of Leicester onwards, so it's going to be a real test. But I think we can do it. I think we can. I think we're the form team. Just avoid those injuries, get a bit of luck along the way, and it's there for us. But if we don't make it, like what Mitch said earlier, it's not a disaster, because I think if we don't make it it's going to be very, very close, and we're going to probably, if we end up in the Europa League, that's still an achievement for me. So we're right in the mix, and we seem to be taking control of it, don't we? We've got Leicester and then we've got Villa. If we can get results in those games, we can maybe afford to slip up against Spurs or Liverpool or even Man United, drop some points. Hopefully not, but we're getting ourselves in a really good position.
Guys, it's been a brilliant podcast. There's been so much stuff come through. It's been absolutely excellent, and I look forward to the next one. Thanks very much, as always, and let's keep our fingers, legs, ears, eyes, everything else crossed. Take care.
Bye-bye.